2-2. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. For the first time since 2016, the 2022 New York Mets will be going to the postseason. The 10th postseason berth in franchise history. And along the way, Max Scherzer picks up his 200th victory with 6 perfect innings as the Mets win their 94th game in 2022. And they have clinched at least a wild card. 13 games to go. A 1-game lead in the National League East. And reason for at least a muted celebration tonight as the Mets have made their way into postseason play.
All right, folks. Postseason baseball for the New York Mets for the first time since 2016 after beating the Brewers last night. I'm pretty happy today wearing my Mets stuff all the way to work today. So, yeah, but it's still, some games left, Adam. I think the week of September 30th is going to be a battle between the Mets and Braves for who wants the division title.
Yep, and the season finale of Sunday Night Baseball is the Mets and Braves from Truist Park. So, Chris, it's about time that it's either going to.
We have a big show, Adam, tonight. We have a big show. Maryland is traveling to Michigan this weekend, and it's going to be on the big noon kickoff on Fox. And this gentleman is I think he comes in our house all the time, Adam, and because we watch him with Randy Peterson. He has a great time doing it with the Professional Bowler Store. Plus, he's the pride of Colgate University because Colgate. We had the head coach on the beginning of the year, their broadcast for the football season. They played Stanford, and hopefully he enjoyed watching that game. I know they probably didn't win that game, but let's bring in Rob Stone. I know he's a big busy guy. Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Evening, guys. How are we?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on. I haven't talked to you since the Tournament of Champions out in Akron, Ohio. On that day, it was a big snowstorm afterwards.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's been that long, huh?
Oh, my God. I had to drive home in that garbage, and never, ever going to do that again. So this weekend, you're out, and I'm heading out to the same place you're going to, Ann Arbor, Michigan, for Michigan and Maryland. So what did you see with this two matchups? Maryland 3-0. Haven't been 3-0 in a very long time. Seems like Michigan's always like this every year, beginning the season 3-0 or 2-1. What do you see in this matchup?
Yeah, I think we're, obviously the coverage is going to be a little more tilted towards Michigan sitting at number 4 unbeaten, having made the playoffs last year, having had a hint of controversy with what they did at the quarterback position the first couple of weeks. But, the big talking point for us is going to be, look at the schedule that Michigan has played, and they have absolutely overwhelmed their competition, hitting at least 50 points in all 3 games. Their plus minus is off the charts. They're leading the nation in scoring, but sadly, the 3 programs they have played are really, really weak this year, or at least at this point in the season. And Maryland, I think, is kind of sneaky good right now. I think people have kind of written off Maryland over the last couple of years. They've just been a team. I think most Big Ten programs would see Maryland on their schedule and say, this is going to be a win, or if you're a lower team, you're like, this is one we need to win, right? Because it's going to be kind of an iffy one. However, with Tagovailoa, a really strong cast of wideouts. Maryland right now is kind of sneaky good, and this is a great opportunity for themselves to announce themselves, on the national stage. I think people are curious. People are looking at Maryland, but they're not ready to commit right now. People are looking at Michigan, and they have committed, putting them all the way up at number 4. I think most of that is because of what they did last season and to an extent what they had returning. But this will be a real game where we'll get a better gauge of just how good this Michigan team is right now.
And with Maryland, if they win, this is a big win for Loxley, Coach Loxley, because he came from Alabama. He had a stint as a head coach at New Mexico State, had a problem with that, and now he's back here. He knows about the DMV and all that stuff. So this might be one of those big wins that put Maryland back on the map. But they haven't been on the map since they left the ACC.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I still, I grew up in ACC country, and I still think of them as an ACC team. And I'll look at the ACC basketball schedule. I'm like, well, when does Carolina play in Maryland? I'm like, that's right. They're in the Big Ten. And, I hope that move has worked out for them. To me, they're more at home in the ACC. It clearly hasn't worked out football wise, but that it doesn't work out for many. Ask Nebraska and Rutgers how the football world is in the Big Ten these days.
And I do the same thing with baseball because the Astros are now in the American League, and every time I see the Astros play the Orioles, I'm like, oh, that's an interleague squad game. Wait a minute, they're in the American League now because I'm so used to them playing the Mets all the time. It's like, okay, I guess they're in the American League. Forget that idea. So let's bring in Adam. Adam, you got a question for?
First of all, Rob, you're the only person from the Foxborough telecast coverage of the PBA Tour I haven't met in person. I've met Dave Lamar. I met Dave Ryan last year and this year in Maine. So it's called If I Go to Maine next year, I hope to see you there.
I hope to be there. There's a Women's World Cup next summer.
I know. You're talking
might get in the way, but I love going to Portland.
One day our paths can cross up,
right.
Somewhere at a PBA tournament. But I actually have a football question for you. You guys were in Lincoln, Nebraska last Saturday to see Oklahoma play Nebraska. And Oklahoma this year has something they haven't had in a while, and that's defense led by Brent Venables. So, Rob, do you see Oklahoma going very far in the Big 12, maybe getting to the semifinals?
Yeah, get back to the college football playoffs, which they've missed the last 2 years after all that early success. You're right. Defense has kind of been that Achilles heel, if you will, for Oklahoma. Great season, through the Big 12 play, but then when they get to the semifinals, they falter. And it always seems to kind of be the fact that the defense couldn't slow down the other team's offense. The offense is just fine. So it was interesting. Coach Meyer was talking about Oklahoma and Brent Venables coming in over the weekend. And his analogy was, sometimes you come into a program and you need to take the fire hose out, right? And you just need to, or my term was basically the flamethrower, right? You need to go Game of Thrones and just burn everything down. It's not working. But he used, the fire hose. And then sometimes it's just the garden hose, right? Stick your thumb on it and create a little extra turbulence and kind of clean stuff out. And sometimes just let it be and just do your little tweaks. And I think Oklahoma, and I agree with Urban, is it just needs these little tweaks. And those little tweaks are defense, whether that's recruiting, whether that's coaching, whether that's schematic. And I think a lot of it early on will be schematic. Brent Venables is a defensive guy. Coach was talking about the fact that Oklahoma is kind of getting away from a vanilla type defense and trying to create more chaos, trying to create more question marks for the quarterback going in. We clearly saw that with Nebraska over the weekend. Unfortunately, it was Nebraska. Nebraska scored first and scored last, but in between, I think they gave up 42 points. So again, I'm not ready to hand the Big 12 title over to Oklahoma, but I'm certainly saying to myself, they're in the mix. Oklahoma State is sitting there lurking as well inside the top 10, and nobody's talking about the Cowboys right now. Again, these are the things that we get early in the season when the AP poll comes out and we don't really know, who is what. I think we feel comfortable with the top three in some rotation is Georgia, Bama, and Ohio State. But after that, it's just full of question marks. So I still have question marks about Oklahoma. I want to see them go against a top level competition. I still have question marks about Michigan, and we'll get a lot of those answered this week.
Yeah, that's true. Real quick, what is your take on Nebraska? Basically just saying goodbye to Scott Frost. They should have got rid of him last year, and also in Arizona State with Herm Edwards getting fired in the end zone. That's bad.
You're seeing, more and more of these firings happening earlier and earlier in the season because these athletic directors know that this is going to impact recruiting and transfer portals and alumni, funds and things like that. I think both of those coaches were already on very short leashes. I think that's pretty well known. Herb, with what Coach Edwards had, hanging over his head with these potential sanctions coming in from the NCAA, really tough situation. Losing bad at home like that will cripple you. It's the same way that Frost went down. The Frost thing for me is, college sports is a lot of money, right? We see these numbers that are handed out, and Nebraska has a bye week this week. And you kind of say to yourself, how much damage would really be done from the moment they fired him to the moment after this bye week where you just part ways with him? because I believe the number was $7.5 million that they essentially lost or something like that. So that's a big chunk of change. I mean, maybe not to the guys called Monday Night Football, it isn't, but for a guy like me, I think for most alumni out there, that's a big nut to swallow right there of money. So I'm curious why Trev Alberts and company maybe couldn't hold on a little bit longer, but if you've got a deep pocket alum who's ready to cough up the coin to offset that number and you just want to stop the bleeding and get that tourniquet on right away, then I have to understand that. And that Nebraska fan base is something else, man. They are loud. They are proud. They care about it. And I think we can all agree that college football is better when Nebraska is a major player in the scene.
Exactly. Well, let me let you go. I know you're a busy guy, but real quick, you still have that belt? Because I want to get that belt, the 24/7 belt from WWE. Do you have it?
That was a fleeting moment. I do not.
I was reading about it. I was like,
that was enough to pin it, take some pictures, and lose it. That is it.
I saw that. I was reading about it yet today. I was like, I'm going to ask him if you had the belt because I want to go.
I wish I did, man. I wish I did.
Well, you'll see Rob on the Big Noon kickoff at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? And then the game at 12:10 with Gus Johnson, and hopefully Gus Johnson is feeling better. Yeah, hopefully he's doing okay. Nice. So nice. I hope to see you Saturday, Rob, and have a good flight to Ann Arbor, and I hope to see you soon.
You guys see it. Thanks for having me. Be good.
Right, thanks, man.
Sir. Thanks, Rob.
You're welcome.
All right, that's Rob Stone from Fox Sports, to the studio host. Does everything on Fox. Yep, my God, I don't even know if that guy sleeps. I thought I was bad. Yeah.
Let our viewers know Rob Stone does college football, college basketball, the PBA tour. He does soccer. It's like if.
I just feel like Adam. I feel like Fox has one guy, Rob Stone. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he does a little bit of everything over there. So,
it was very nice of him to stop by tonight on the program.
Yes.
He's a busy man, and sometimes, when he's busy, I can't get him on. And when he said last week, like, yeah, I can come on, I'm like, with you? Yeah, and I was like,
nice.
So, a little bit back to this Maryland game coming up. Maryland did beat, I was doing some research. They did beat Michigan in the Big House 2014. They did, despite rolling up 400 yards of total offense, by Michigan still found a way to lose. And that was Brady. Yeah. That was Brady Hoke. Hoke was the head coach at the time, so that was basically one of those.
True, Chris. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I had to ask him about the belt because.
I remember that. I remember that, and it's like.
That's why I was hoping you still have it because I was talking about it today at work with somebody. I was like, I just want to go and go. Done.
Yeah. I mean, it's about over 2 years ago. So
I know. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, pretty cool. Tonight on the program, we got besides we just got done with Rob Stone here on the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel here on Herb FM Radio. Rusty Wright, who is the head coach at Tennessee Chattanooga football. He should be joining us shortly because Chattanooga is heading out to Illinois tomorrow to take on the Fighting Illini out there Thursday Night Football on BTN. So that's going to be a very interesting game. And then at 7:30, our good friend Pete Kerwin, who does the Boston College Radio Network, the Eagles going down to Tallahassee to take on the 3-0, it's surprising 3-0 Florida State Seminoles. And hopefully they'll make it 4 in a row for the Noles, and this is prime time for them. So let's bring in the coach of Chattanooga football. They're going to get on a plane and head on up to the beautiful Champaign, Illinois, where the Fighting Illini is. So let's bring in Coach Wright. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
I'm good, guys. How y'all?
Thank you so much. I know you go to bed early, and I'm trying to so I can get you into bed before a certain hour because I know a lot of people work very hard like yourself.
Well, it's as long as the sun's up, I got to be up for a little while. I'm not quite to that point yet where I got to get in that early. So but we're good, man. We're good.
That's good. Cool. Well, talk about this game coming up. You guys have taken on a Big Ten school. A lot of these schools like you guys get an opportunity to play with these teams. It's a great payday to help you guys with expenses and all that stuff in the university, but it's also a good practice to see where you guys are. as a program. So what do you see, taking on an Illinois squad?
Well, for one, have a lot of respect for what Coach Bielema and those guys have done up there starting out, getting that thing going. And you can tell he's putting his stamp on that program with who he's bringing in and what they're trying to get accomplished. I think, the new OC and all that's been a good addition for them. The biggest thing for us is it gives our kids an opportunity to go play on a bigger stage than what we normally get to play on. And then the next thing is we get an opportunity to see how far we have to go. That's the thing. And I've got a good core group of guys, I think, that I know that can handle these situations and play in games like this. And then I got a lot of guys, that are playing for us for the first time that I want to see the stress and strain on them and see how they handle things, because I'm hoping playing a short week, playing a big-time opponent, I'm hoping that helps us out ourselves for our own conference run later on as this year goes, so they can learn and draw from some of those experiences.
Yeah, playing a Thursday night football game, I guess your planning of your week of planning for this game changes, because your Monday is actually what? Right after the game on Saturday to get yourself ready?
Yeah, it happens. I was in the MAC for a little while. I've been in the Sun Belt. So, you're playing on 4 days every once in a while from a Saturday through a Thursday. I think there's, 2 or 3 other games on Thursday night where some folks have played on Saturday and gone through and done it. So it's not out of the question of happening. It's just our kids don't experience it much. They haven't been through something like this very much. And, you can't beat them up and wear them out, because you got such a quick turnaround. But we've played a lot of guys this year, and I think that'll hopefully help us, moving forward, and especially Thursday night. So, we'll see how it goes. But that was one of the reasons for playing on Thursday night, was seeing how our guys handled those things and handled a short week and doing all that. So it's a lot more than just playing the game for me. There's a lot of things involved in it. I've got to see about my football team.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Adam, go right ahead.
Yeah, first of all, you guys are ranked 9th in the FCS coaches poll. That's pretty impressive for a SoCon team. So tell us about how you can keep that being in the top 10 going forward in the FCS coaches poll. The SoCon has some really good football teams, like
Yeah, I don't put a whole lot of stock in early season polls. I think you have to get halfway, past the midway point of the season for polls to really matter. I know one thing in our league, I think we've got 5 or 6 teams in our league in the top 75 in FCS football. So it's a good league. And unfortunately, sometimes we beat each other up, just like they do in the Big Ten. We kind of eat ourselves, so to say. We kind of knock each other off from doing things and playing well. But, polls are good, rankings are good for fans and, social media and all that stuff. I'll be honest with you, I got a group that hadn't even said a word about it. So I don't even, none of my kids have ever brought it up. It's not something we talk about. We work, the old coach cliche, we work day to day and just focus on that and try to go. And knock on wood, this group has done, they've done a really good job of just focusing on the here and now and moving on to the next day. So that's the thing with us.
Exactly. We'll talk about last week's game. You guys, pretty much, won last week. So it was like, getting that win to hopefully carry over for Thursday night.
Yeah, I thought our kids. I'm sorry, I got dogs barking in the background.
Hey, they're probably excited. They got to be. They're excited. They want to go. They want to go to Illinois.
Yeah, they're pieces of work. They're actually my wife's dogs, so I can't say a whole lot to them. We had a good win last Saturday. We got a little adversity in it. It was a much better football team than we played over there last year. I think they've done a good job of trying to recruit, but our guys just keep playing. And I think that's the one thing with this group is it didn't seem to rattle them at any point in time when we gave up 2 quick scores defensively. They just kind of kept playing. We found a way to get something going on offense, and we kind of settled in and just went and played. But it was homecoming. There was a lot of distractions. T.O. was in town. There's a lot of stuff going on. There was a lot of people around, former players and all that. So I was glad to see them kind of focus and get some stuff done.
That's cool. Well, Coach, so if you're an analyst of this game, let's say you're not coaching this game, but you're on TV doing the what is the 3 keys for you guys to win this game against Illinois?
Well, we've got to withstand the early part. I mean, that's the thing that happens in a lot of these games. The bigger schools sometimes get out to a fast start and you just kind of get overwhelmed. We got to withstand the first quarter and a half, and we got to be able to sit in there and play. We can't kill ourselves, can't turn the ball over. I mean, that's the thing. We can't give them cheap and easy scores by turning the ball over. And then when we get an opportunity to make plays, we got to go make plays. And that's, that's every week. Doesn't matter who you're playing, but those are the things I think, we've played pretty well in these games because we've withstood the first charge, and our kids have kind of settled in. And I know last year at Kentucky, they took the ball right down the field on us. And, the defense came off the field. I'm like, y'all okay now? We're good. We figured this out. And then we went out there and just played. And we don't have to go be Superman. We got to go play football. And once that happens, we settle into it, and I think we'll be okay. But we have opportunities to make plays. We have to make plays, and they have to miss some too. Now, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they can't make them all. If they make them all, it'll be a hard night. But got to withstand it early. Can't give them easy points, and then we got to make plays. We get a chance to make plays.
Exactly. Adam, you have one more question?
Yeah. No, like I mentioned, you guys play in a really good conference, the Southern Conference. There's you guys and Furman and Mercer, Wofford, VMI. Looking at your SoCon schedule, is there a team that you think there's going to be a game where it could go to, like, let's say last minute, to win?
Well, I'll be honest with you, there's very few of them in our league that are more than one score when it all happens. So most of them come down to one possession. We lost 3 games in the league last year by a total of 9 points, I think. So, that's just kind of how our league is, because there's no different than the others, because there's so much familiarity between coaches, between teams, and those kind of things. And everybody's got a couple of good players, and you have to figure out ways to handle them and go through and do those things. But most of our league is a 1-score league when the games are all said and done. So it comes down to little things, figuring out a way to win.
Yeah. I was talking to your sports information director yesterday. He sent me a little note. You have a player who's on the Baltimore Ravens. He's on the practice squad, but that's pretty cool, having a player from your school on an NFL type roster. Yeah,
well, we had a first round draft pick last year too. So
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing. I think there's we got one Baltimore, Isaiah Max up in Baltimore. Corey Levin's actually with the Titans.
Okay.
Now, and you got Cole Strange there. Tay Davis was just with the Raiders. He got released right before the season started. So we got a fair number of guys that have played for us at some point in time that are in the league, and I think we got a couple more guys this year that may have a chance, at the end of this year to have an opportunity to go play at the next level. So we play some good football down here. We got good guys. They got an opportunity. So and I think that's the reason a lot of them hang around.
And then that must be good for you as a coach, knowing you can help him to get to the next level. And he's like, look, I helped this kid get to his dreams, and I helped him out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it helps. It helps in a lot of ways, but I think it also says in this day and age, when you have people moving and leaving and all those kind of things, I think it says a lot for the character of the young men we bring in here and the type of people they are that are happy where their feet are.
Right.
And they understand the work we do and the opportunities they can get from here to go to the next level. And but I think it says a lot more about those young men just for hanging around instead of leaving, thinking they can leave for bigger and better. It may not be there for them.
Right. Well, Coach, let me let you go. I know you have a lot of stuff to do, but if you want to watch this game, it's going to be on the Big Ten Network tomorrow, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central, and hopefully to see Chattanooga go 4-0. That would be pretty cool for you guys to start the season 4-0, and big win in your cap for knocking off Illinois.
We're going to try hard, man. That's all I can tell you. Our kids will go play hard and have a lot of fun, so we're excited about coming up.
That's cool. We'll have a safe flight to Illinois, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. So, again, if you want to see Coach Wright in the mocks of Chattanooga, Kenneth's the Fighting Illini, it's 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central on the Big Ten Network. So it's a little Thursday night football. Besides the NFL,
Chris, to let our viewers know, as we speak, the SEC is releasing their schedule for the 2023 season. So
already,
yeah,
we're not even done the 22 season, man.
Yeah, they're announcing it. Cause if you go to the SEC's official Twitter page,
oh my God,
they've got all the weeks.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Jeez.
I'm not kidding you. Actually, on the SEC network,
wow,
they're having a 2023 schedule release as we speak. Yeah.
What? Why are they doing that?
Kid you not?
What do you want to start getting tickets and you go to Ticketmaster and go, hey,
Yeah.
Jeez. Crazy. That's nuts, dude. That's a little too too aggressive there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. It's like, I mean, why can't you wait till the end of the season, to do it?
Right, like the ACC waits until like after middle of basketball season, like around February to tell people what's going on.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe some other conferences should take advice.
Right. Well, folks, if you just logged into us, thanks for joining us here on a beautiful Tuesday night. You just missed Rob Stone and Coach Rusty White from Chattanooga University. They're playing Illinois on Thursday Night Football, and Rob Stone will be out there at Ann Arbor, Michigan for Michigan and Maryland, the big noon kickoff. It's the I don't want to say down version of the College Game Day, but it's the Fox version of it.
Yeah, that's true, Chris.
So
yeah,
you don't have Lee Corso with the headgear. You might have Urban Meyer going, "I might want your job." No. Yeah, they're already chanting him. They want him to go to Nebraska. And I'm like, are you serious?
No, I mean, I heard that they want Urban Meyer as the next head coach of Nebraska, but he still has a contract with Fox. So
I know, it's like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Oh, I know. But I will say this, Chris. When game day was at Appalachian State last Saturday, to let our viewers know, it was one of the craziest atmospheres they probably have ever been to. I mean, it was nuts.
Right. So I'm trying to get working on an email here real quick here. Trying to get Daniel on the show here tonight. Something's wrong. He didn't get the email. So I'm just going to send it to him again. Hopefully we got it. If you're wondering where our good friend George Bashera is, he is right now playing Pilgrim. He got it. He got the email. He's playing the old Pilgrim days, with no power. Got a white, do his laundry with the laundry board, because there's no power. Yeah. So hopefully he'll be back on next Tuesday night with us. But there's a big history today in sports. Did you know on this day in 1998, Cal said sayonara to his
retired as an Oriole. Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
he stopped playing for how many games? Right? Yeah. Wow. He stayed around. Yeah. He stayed around until 2001, and then they got inducted in the Hall of Fame. So there he is. Nice gentleman. Got a chance to talk to him, personally sometimes in the press box, and he really kept the city of Baltimore, intact. With I know the Orioles weren't that great, back in the day and back when he was playing, but he did win a World Series. So
yes, he did. He sure did.
Maybe he would have liked to won more, but you can't help it.
That's true, Chris. That's very true.
Yeah. So on this date in 1998, first time since May 30th, 1982, that he missed a game. So that's very, very interesting. Yeah, and this is Chuck Knobloch. Yeah. Wow. Jeez. And look at the Yankees when they got to the fifth inning, they gave him a standing ovation. That's very, very classy by the
That's nice. That's nice. By the
organization there. So anyway, on that date in 1998, and then before we bring in Peter here, on this date in 1973, Jim Croce sadly passed away on a plane crash in somewhere in Louisiana. Can you say that?
Natchitoches.
Natchitoches.
Yeah,
30 years old.
Natchitoches, Louisiana. Wow. That's where Northwestern State has a school out of Southland. So it's called
That's
Natchitoches, Louisiana.
30 years old when he died. So if he was still around today, he probably would be in his 70s, probably.
Yeah.
And he probably would be like, it's fascinating. When I do this all the time, I think about, like people who pass away, like, like Jim Croce and these people. What if, like John Lennon, like, what if they were still around today? Would they would they be selling out concerts?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume. I mean, you think about Jimi Hendrix.
Right.
I mean,
I know, exactly. So, all right, let's bring in our good friend Pete Crowan, who is the one of the analysts for Boston College football. They're going to head on down to beautiful Tallahassee for a game against the 3-0 Seminoles. So,
What's
Peter, 3-0. 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0, coming off an 0-4 start a year ago. So,
yeah,
looks like they use a football term. Looks like they flipped the field.
Well, I got a chance to talk to some of the Seminoles at the ACC kickoff, and I asked them, what did they learn in that losing streak? Because they went 0-4, then they got close to 500. That they lost a couple games and almost made it to a bowl game. And they're like, well, they learned something that they need to finish ball games. Well, they need to start finishing ball games. You can't keep Louisville and and LSU still in the ball game.
Well, that's but they come out on the right side of them. At the end, you can nitpick any game, but the fact of the matter is, if you come away with the W, you move on pretty quickly. If you don't get the W, you sit there and scratch your head. And I think BC's been doing a little bit of that over here in the early going. The first quarter of the season's behind us, so it's time to evaluate kind of where they are. We have the coaches show tomorrow night, and I'm going to ask. We have Tim Lukavu, the defensive coordinator, on, and I'm going to ask him and say, grade yourself first quarter. What do you think? And I got an idea what he's going to say, but we'll have him say it.
Yeah, I think Florida State's one of these surprising teams because I don't think anybody gave Florida State a 3-0 start. They thought they were going to be 1-2. They think Mike Norvell was going to get fired before the Miami game. Because it felt like he was on the hot seat down there. But I think beating LSU probably bought him some time.
I think the hot seat thing is way overdone. It's right. It's a fan favorite. Jeff Hafley's a perfect example. Coming into the season, he was on everybody's short list, and he certainly wasn't playing into it. But we certainly got a lot of noise from all over the country. Now he's having a little bit of he's struggling a little bit, and we don't hear his name being bantered about as frequently. And it's such a fickle game now. You're 1 week you're on everyone's list, and a week later they forgot who you are. I mean, so if you want to play that game, God bless you. Have fun. It's fantasy football time. But I think you're going to see with the way the college game is right now, there's going to be a lot of activity every season at the end, sometimes near the end, if people have kind of overextended their stays. But I came up with a statistic last year, looking at the typical tenure of an FBS coach, and it's 4 years. Yeah. So every 4 years they're leaving because they get a better job or they get fired, and so and because the BC fan base was like, hey, we can't see every 4 or 5 years we seem to be turning the coach over. Well, that's the average. And right. the only places where coaches where there's longevity are in programs where highly paid coaches, not even highly paid coaches now that I think about it, but primarily highly paid coaches in large conferences that have success.
Right. I agree. And like we saw over the weekend, Herm Edwards, who's a great NFL guy, great, Philadelphia Eagle, and he was coaching Arizona State, and they fired him in the end zone. It's like, really? I was like, it's like, can you wait until you get, wait until Monday morning so the guy could regroup, instead of looking at, come on. That's
Chris, all you're seeing is them firing in the end zone. There's a lot more to that story.
Right. We know that. Yeah.
So whenever you see somebody when you see schools do things like that, there's a lot to it, a lot more to it, and that he didn't deliver a winning program.
Right. Exactly. Adam, go right ahead.
Yeah. Now, last year when Boston College played Florida State squeaked out a 3-point victory up in Chestnut Hill. So my question to you, Pete, is how can Boston College go down to Tallahassee and derail Florida State after the success that the Seminoles have had to start this 2022 season?
Well, there's two parts of that question. One is what's going on this year with Florida State, and the other is what's gone on with Florida State in the past. And for some reason, Florida State is one of those teams that Boston College can play with most of the time, and they just find a way not to win. 2 years ago, down at Florida State, BC's got the game in the bag, and it's a third down and forever, backed up inside the negative 20-yard line, and they come out and they throw the ball, 90 yards down the field, and BC commits a mental error on the coverage. How did what?
Yeah.
How did that happen? But I mean that seems to be the story of the tape over the last several years that Florida State had been a very good football team, national championship caliber. They fell off, and I think Boston College missed a number of opportunities to knock Florida State off. They weren't able to do it, and I think now that Florida State's is kind of on the comeback trail, they're more like the kind of team they used to be, and I think it's a tough out for Boston College this weekend.
Yeah, well, I think the last time you guys beat Florida State was 2008, and it was actually a weird day because Florida State wore these black uniforms. You don't see Florida State wear black uniforms anymore. I got a little clip there, and this is I found on YouTube. And like this is the last time you guys beat them down there. It was a night game. Same thing is going to be this Saturday.
Yeah, well, it's a great venue. I mean, I hear people talking about hostile playing environments. I think that's a lot of bunk. The one thing, people ask me, not as frequently now, but in the olden days, you'd ask me what I miss most about the NFL, and besides the paychecks, crowd noise. I mean, the crowd noise is unbelievable, and no one's coming out of the stands with a knife or a gun. It's such a wonderful experience to play in an environment where it's so loud, you can be 2 feet from somebody and you can't have a conversation.
Yeah,
I think that. So if somebody says you're intimidated by the noise, I don't buy it. That is noise. Now, you may have to adjust your game, especially on offense, in a loud environment, going with silent counts and signal counts and all that sort of stuff. But teams practice that stuff. So to say we're going into a hostile environment is, I think the only thing probably as I'm kind of thinking out loud here is when things go well for the opponent, you hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way when you've got a team on the ropes is when you shut down the home team fan base when it's silent. And we've been in Florida State where that's happened. We've been in Clemson where that's happened. We've been at Notre Dame where that happened. When Boston College knocked Notre Dame out of the national championship there, back the Gordon kick out in South Bend. That they had come down the field and scored a touchdown with less than like 90 seconds left in the game. BC took possession, moved to in field goal range, and the place was bedlam. It was bedlam.
Wow.
And then BC kicked the field goal, and you could have heard a pin drop. They shut the fan base down. That is one of the greatest compliments in the world.
Yeah, I think it's great to see like a road team who's like not favored. They're like they should be like they're supposed to get their the shit kicked out of them, and they come in there and they beat a team that's like we'll say number 4 or number 5, and like literally ruin that team's season. And it's like that other team, because I think last year we saw that a lot in different leagues, like in the Big Ten. Penn State was rolling until they lost their quarterback, and everything after that went downhill, and they barely made it to a bowl game. Like you saw at BC. You guys were 4-0. Phil gets hurt. and then it's a whole different season. It's like, okay, who's coming in? They probably called you, Pete, to be the quarterback. He said, "Sorry, I had no eligibility left."
I got an arm like a leg, Chris. So
and then Phil comes back for the Florida State game, and you're like, okay, now we have and I actually asked him that, Coach Jeff, about that, like it's a tale of two seasons, and he's like, yeah, it's like one season, it was one season and 4-0, and the next season was 0-4, and then we're playing catch up to try to get to a bowl game.
Well, the problem last year was that Dennis Purcell was the backup quarterback, and the guy had big desire, hard work, and a great teammate, would do anything to win. Couldn't throw the ball over 20 yards. He really did not have any accuracy over 20 yards. And you get a weapon like Zay Flowers, and what are they doing? They're trying to throw the ball downfield, take the top off the defense, throwing the ball 40, 50 yards, and they'd probably take maybe 4 or 5 of those shots a game. Didn't complete any of them. So when you lose a quarterback like Djokovic, who's got a deep touch, and now you're forced into a guy who really is limited skill wise. I think Boston College had trouble adapting to the skill level of the quarterback, and they needed to get the run game going, and the offensive line was set up that was a good group last year. There's only one in the league right now. They all left. Every one of them left. Coming back, Boston College had 2 guys kind of in the stable. You had Tyler Vrabel was going to come back, and Christian Mahogany. Tyler Vrabel was a stabilizer. He's been there. He's played a lot of football. He's going to help bring this young offensive line along. Christian Mahogany was being projected as a high draft pick, also a veteran player, going to bring this offensive line along. Well, Vrabel decides to chase the NFL dream and leave school, and Mahogany blows his knee out playing basketball. So now you've got no senior or veteran influence on a practical level in the offensive line. You get 5 newbies. Great statistic last week. The last game that Boston College played last year against Wake Forest, albeit it wasn't a great game for a lot of reasons, the offensive line had cumulatively 212 starts.
Wow.
Going into last week's game, Boston College's offensive line had 12 starts. So this week they'll have 15. So you can't teach experience. They're working hard. They're changing their scheme. They're going to a more power scheme instead of zone, which I love. I think it's a great, but it requires more thought. And in the immortal words of Frank Spaziani, former head coach at Boston College, when you're thinking, you're stinking. So they want to be aggressive. They want to be downhill. They want to attack. But they're going to get better. They're getting better every week. But I think that it is what it is. And so BC's, they've got a lot of skill at wide receiver, quarterback, running game came alive last week, and against an opponent that really did give Boston College their best shot, University of Maine. But the running game kind of came alive, and that was a very, I think, a very helpful experience for that offensive line. They started to do some things right, and try to develop some confidence.
Exactly. Well, Pete, thanks so much for coming on, and I hope you have a safe trip to Tallahassee. And that game's on the ACC network, but we can listen to you guys on XM Radio, right?
Well, yeah, we're going to be. You guys can always tune us in, but we'll be down there eating fried gator Friday night.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Are those like scallops? Like
it sounds so good.
Yeah,
thanks so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Talk you down the road, boys. Stay well.
See you later. Bye. Yeah, speak Cohen, who is our good friend.
Chris, Doak Campbell Stadium is located in Tallahassee, Florida, not Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. It's called I think you forgot where
where it was.
Yeah.
It's all right. Let's get Steve on the phone before we get Noah on. Steve's up in Aberdeen.
Yeah. Let's check in with our correspondent at the Ironbirds game tonight.
Hello.
Hey, Steve, what's the update up there in Aberdeen, bud? You're live.
All right, coming live from Aberdeen Ironbirds Stadium. It is top of the third right now, and the Ironbirds have a 4-2 lead.
Okay, so this is game 2 of the South Atlantic Championship series. So basically, if the Ironbirds win tonight, if you're in Aberdeen tomorrow, folks, you should want to grab a ticket because they might bring home a title to the city of Aberdeen for the first time in, I think, a very long time.
Yeah, I think that's the first time in the team's history.
Yeah, and you and I have been covering Aberdeen baseball since the days of the New York Penn League, so it's going to be cool if they could pull it off. So we'll get you back on middle of the 8 o'clock hour, and keep us updated if there's any developing situations.
I will do so. The scoring drive was they scored 1 run in the bottom of the first on an RBI single.
Okay.
And then in the bottom of the second, they hit a 3-run bomb to left field.
Okay. That sounds like, wow. So still right now, let's check it. I am on the computer here. Still checking. It's still top of the third, still 4-2 Aberdeen, game 2 of the championship series against the Bowling Green Hot Rods, or the Tampa Bay affiliate. So Orioles and Tampa Bay love each other. They play too many games.
Yeah, I know. It seems to be the theme for this year.
I know. It's pretty funny. So, we'll get you on the 8 o'clock hour, okay? And any developing situations, let us know.
We'll do so.
All right, Steve. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, bye. All right, folks. That's our ace reporter, Steve Zulich, on location. Yeah, back after a couple weeks of taking a break there. So let's bring in our good friend Noah Fleshman. Appalachian State beat Troy, so somebody won another pick the click. That's you. Yeah, you're 2-0, and I'm 0-2.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring that up, Chris.
Hey, it's okay. It's cool. I love doing that. We'll do our pick the click later, but this time it's JMU making their first appearance in the Sun Belt.
Yes, sir.
Boone, North Carolina, and Noah is probably going to make the trip to Boone, North Carolina for the first time. So, hi Noah, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Thanks so much for coming on. So, what's exciting? Are you excited to go see a different team besides the CAA opponent that's been there for so many years?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be exciting. First trip in the Sun Belt. It'll be a good time. It's gonna be a great atmosphere. I mean, they sold it out already down there in Boone, so it'll be a good time. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. This is the 17th meeting all time against Appalachian State and JMU. So but they haven't played each other since 2008. So, and this is first of the conference foes. So it's some first things going on this weekend.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. It's probably going to turn into a rivalry. I mean, these two teams had a pretty good rivalry going in the mid 2000s, but they just haven't played since then. So it'll be a good time to see them back out there and to play each other every year now. So we'll see.
That's cool. Adam, you got a question for Noah?
Now Noah, you've seen the success that Appalachian State has had over the last couple weeks, knocking off Texas A&M in College Station, and then you saw the Hail Mary that won against Troy last Saturday. So tell us, how can James Madison go down to beautiful Boone, North Carolina, in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and knock off a team that in Appalachian State that has had so much success over these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a test for them. Obviously, JMU is 2-0. They had a bye week this week. They're only playing 11 games, so they'll have 2 bye weeks throughout the year. And this week was their first of 2, and it'll be interesting. I mean, App State's been up and down this year. Yesterday they beat Texas A&M, but they also gave up 63 points to North Carolina. So their defense has been rocky, and I think that's what JMU is probably going to look at is, if they can jump out on App State's defense early, then it might be a good game for them. And if not, then it'll be a tight game. So we'll see what happens. But I imagine it'll be a 1-score game by the end of it.
Yeah, let's talk about this game. They haven't played each other since 2008 when Appalachian State came to Harrisonburg, to play JMU, and it was a classic, one of those classic games that JMU probably catapulted themselves into better way with Mickey Matthews as their head coach, and then and then you had the guy Waters who was there. Winters was there for maybe a year and a half, and then Coach Sigonelli was there. So this game must have been pretty cool. And then now you're going to face them, almost like 10 years later.
Yeah, they're playing them a little while later, but it's like, it's a thing where the last game they played was at JMU, as you said, and it was a game where JMU trailed 21-0 at the half, and then they came back and won. And so it's something that obviously none of these players were in the program, none of these coaches were here at the time, but it'll still be a good atmosphere in Boone, and especially next year when App State comes to Harrisonburg.
Yeah. Just talk about the vibe around there. My parents have a house in Macedon, up the road there, from JMU. What's the vibe like down there now, knowing that they're in a better new conference? It's not the old CAA. It's like you got new teams coming in. Like you guys just sold out family weekend next weekend for Texas State coming to town. Like who wants to? It's like weird to see Texas State coming east. What's the vibe like down there? It seems like I guess they must have been so excited to have a new conference.
Yeah, they're excited. I mean, Sunbelt obviously was a move that JMU's been thinking about for a while now. About, I think, 5-10 years ago, they thought about making this move to Sunbelt. It wasn't the right time, but they came and did it now, and it's working out well. Obviously, making the jump to the FBS isn't an easy thing, but they're 2-0 as an FBS team with one FBS win this year so far. And this week will be interesting. Then you have Texas State, who has up and down years well, coming to Harrisonburg next week, and that's a sold-out game for family weekend. So overall, everyone's excited, and it's been a good first 2 weeks, and they'll have a good week this week coming up.
Yeah, I think it's great for the program to see it. Because I heard last year a lot of fans got tired of coming to CAA games because you saw the same people every 5 years, and you're like, okay, we've seen them last year, we saw them here before that, and this is now brand new teams, new organizations, new colleges coming to Harrisonburg, and it's like, ooh, this must be fun. It's a new. It's not like it's something brand new now.
It is. I mean, they're going to play a whole new set of teams this year, and then they'll play the same few. With two of them will switch out every year from the West, but otherwise, yeah, it's a new set of teams for a little while.
Yeah. So what does JMU got to do to basically knock off Appalachian State, who right now they're rolling, and get a good big quality win for the program?
Yeah, they're gonna have to run the ball well against App State, obviously, and you're going to want two reasons for that. Is one, obviously JMU a running team, and they can establish that. But two, the more you run the ball, the other team's offense stays off the field, and that's kind of what App State was able to do against Texas A&M, and kind of JMU is going to try to flip that and do the same thing, but flip it. But obviously, defensively, you're going to want to stop App State's running game. That's obviously what they hang their hat on. But they have a quarterback in Chase Bryce, who he played at Clemson, he played at Duke before, so he knows how to win on the big stage, and she's already shown you that this year.
That's true. Adam, you have one more question?
Yeah. How cool is it to have how cool is it to have now that James Madison is in the Sun Belt Conference? How cool is it to have James Madison football games in spring baseball games on ESPN Plus? It's called fans all across the world can now tune in to watch James Madison football game from Harrisonburg.
Yeah, a lot of people were excited, when they made this move, obviously, with the Sun Belt being affiliated with ESPN. Every game will be at least on ESPN Plus, if not picked up by, one of the cable channels. But, it's better than what they had dealt with at the CAA and in Flow Sports and things like that, a lot less headaches. And you can watch a lot more than just Sun Belt football or baseball on there. There's tons of other streaming stuff going on ESPN Plus. Everyone's liked it, and I think the first 2 weeks have gone well with it. And they'll play on ESPN Plus this weekend against App State, and they'll be again on ESPN Plus against Texas State.
That's cool. Yeah, I know Kurt. Kurt is a great broadcaster down there in Harrisonburg. He's a good friend of ours, and it's great to see him doing something cool with the Sun Belt now. It looks like he's more excited to do broadcasting.
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, it's a good setup for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, Noah, thanks so much for coming on. Enjoy your trip to Boone, North Carolina, and I hope that you guys bring out a win. And we'll try to catch up with you down the road when see how the first year of Sun Belt football for you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, that's Noah Fleshman, who is the JMU and baseball beat writer for the Daily News Record down there in good old Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Actually, Chris, when when Appalachian State went to James Madison. Appalachian State was the defending FCS champion. So James Madison, knocked off then the defending FCS champion. So that was, that was a huge win for the program. And if James Madison can win on Saturday at Kid Brewer Stadium, that could be up there as one of the biggest wins in program history.
Right. Well, they need this year. They're actually. I don't think they qualify for the Sun Belt Championship.
No, they don't. I think it maybe next year or the year after, since they're in the the process of transferring over from an FCS program to an FBS program. So I think it'll be a couple of years. But I could see James Madison in a bowl game,
Well, they could.
when they become eligible. I mean, I know the town of Harrisonburg would go absolutely nuts if it were to happen.
Well, if they go to a bowl game, it's a lot better than going to the SBS title game in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, and they don't have to face North Dakota State.
Yeah, they don't have to. Yeah. North Dakota State.
Yes, since we know how the Bison is up there in
Arizona last week.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting there. Let's go look at their games real quick for this week. Let's just talk about Thursday night. Besides the Illinois game at 8:30, you got West Virginia take on Virginia Tech. The old backyard situation down there in Blacksburg. Another Thursday night football for West Virginia. So, what do you think about that game coming up?
I think that's going to be that's a classic rivalry, Chris. And I get your popcorn ready. You could sort of say that's an old Big East rivalry, since West Virginia and Virginia Tech were members of the Big East Conference when it had football. So that's going to be a good game. And then Coastal Carolina goes down to Georgia State, to play the Panthers on ESPN2 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see how the Chanticleers do against can take a win in Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, Georgia State had those pretty cool unis last weekend.
Yes, they sure did.
That was
I liked them.
They were pretty neat. Black with the city of Atlanta on the front of the jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you're trying to take Atlanta away from Georgia Tech.
I mean.
Yeah. So you got that game. Coastal Carolina is one of those teams in the Sun Belt that they actually come up to Harrisonburg, Virginia at the end of the year to play JMU.
Yes.
So that might be a rematch because JMU I think they played Coastal Carolina a couple of years ago, and it was one of those I think Coastal Carolina upset JMU that at the time they were number one in the SBS.
I believe you're right. And actually I'll give everyone my pick. I'll give everyone my good game to watch on Saturday, and it's my pick of the week.
Okay.
Florida and Tennessee. These two teams are ranked. College game day is going back to Knoxville. They haven't been there in a long time. So I talked to a lot of Florida Gator fans down here in North Carolina, Chris.
Yeah.
But you got the colors of the Tennessee Volunteers this week. So
it's actually the colors of Met.
Yeah, I know.
It's fall colors because I was trying to find something to stand out.
But I've got Tennessee beating Florida in Knoxville, and at Neyland Stadium actually go nuts.
So you have Tennessee over Florida.
Yes, I sure do. Hendon Hooker is a good quarterback in the SEC. He is. You don't really talk about him, but he wins this game on Saturday. That's a quarterback you may have to keep your eyes on. Right. Remember the name, Hendon Hooker.
Oh yeah, he used to he used to be the quarterback at Virginia Tech.
Yes, he sure did. Yeah, that's right, Chris. That's right.
Yeah, they actually interviewed him when he was at Virginia Tech. So a long time ago. So. Folks, thanks for joining us here on this is the Sports Talk with Chris Heidel. It's almost the top of the hour. Almost 8 o'clock here on the 20th of September. If you want to subscribe to our video, on YouTube, you can go to there. You click on the right-hand corner, Adam, and it shows that you could be a friend of our program here. So, so we're going to get into our second hour, and we got some great stuff coming up here in the second hour. Our good friend and the pride of Appalachian State, Dan Wilcox will be joining us, along with the voice of New England Patriot football from Gillette Stadium, John Rook. Is that how I say his name?
Yeah, John Rook. Yeah, the Providence Friars, Big East Radio,
and New England Patriots.
So you've heard that? It's called. You've heard John number of years calling Big East football and
I do have a clip real
basketball.
Yeah, I got a clip of him. He does some stuff up in the New England area.
Yes.
So here's a little highlight from his highlight reel.
9-2. Tonight, Pedro Martinez struggled in his first start in more than a month. New York Mets missed a chance to clinch the National League East as they lost to the Pittsburgh Pirates 5-3. Martinez allowed 4 runs, 3 innings, 68 pitches, gave up 6 hits, walked 1, hit a batter, and struck out 4. Cincinnati Reds took on the Cubs at Wrigley this afternoon. Former Soxer Bronson Arroyo, 8 innings, 4 hits, shutout ball. He struck out 7. Arroyo wins his 14th of the season. Reds shut out Chicago 4-0. No changes to the Patriots injury report today. Rodney Harrison is probable for Sunday in New York, even though he's missed practice this week with.
Oh, he does all that stuff for New England, so he does everything.
Yes, he does. Now and that was actually WLVI TV in Boston.
Right. Well, Adam, last week we're going to recap the Dolphin game, and this happened. And if you're a Ravens fan, you may want to turn away from this video because you might want to throw some death threats at us because we're just throwing the facts.
I know where you're going, Chris. I know where you're going.
So here it is.
Tungo by Loa. Blocked by Armstead. 2 into the end zone. Caught for the touchdown! Caught for the touchdown! Waddle! Miami has taken the lead!
Yes, Miami came back down 21 points to a very good Lamar Jackson, who got 62 points in my fantasy league, and I forgot to put him in. So, but I still won. Yeah, but the Ravens. Yeah, so the Ravens losing to the Miami Dolphins, last weekend, a tough loss in Baltimore. And I know this guy, Daniel Wilcox, actually was not home. Everybody was I was actually working at my other job, and I told the guy, the Ravens lost, and he wanted to smack the living poop out of me because he thought I was making it up. So I was like, no, you weren't making it up. I said, they lost. And he goes, are you sure? I was like, I had to bring out my phone, Daniel. I go, there's the final score right there. And he goes, you kidding me? I was like, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. So Daniel, here's my question I got to ask you. You're up 21 starting the second half. Why do you coast and you think you have the ball game? I thought in every sport you keep the foot down on the guy's throat and you knock the air out of him and you don't let him up until the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean that's the normal consensus, but in the NFL, I mean it's such a hard game to call, right? Mm-hmm. So what a lot of coaches do is they try to play it safe. They try to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and run the time off the clock to preserve the 21-point lead. They don't want to risk losing that lead. They know if the other team can't score or don't have the ball on offense, and they can't score. So what teams try to do is try to run the ball and run the time off the clock. When you throw the ball, it stops the clock every single throw. If the ball hits the ground, if it's an incomplete pass or whatever it may be, so usually you want to run the ball. Of course, the Ravens are not running the ball very effectively right now, so they couldn't run the ball. So they had to throw the ball, which stopped the clock in favor for the Dolphins and put them in good situations throughout the fourth quarter. And it's one of those things, man, where you really watch that game. I think I've seen it probably 6-7 times, since the other day. And every time I look at it, there's a breakdown in communication on defense. Right. Over and over and over again. And I think we're so spoiled being a Ravens fan. We're so spoiled watching the Ravens always have this super elite defense. And This is probably one of the first times you can actually say the defense lost the game for us. I can't remember another time where I could actually say the defense lost us a game. It's always the offense. It's always our fault. Well, the offense played their ass off this game, and the defense found a way to kind of give it back to Miami at the end. And I mean, they got all the speed in the world with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, but we got some pretty good speed as well. But I mean, when you let go a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter, that's almost Atlanta Falcon-ish, not Baltimore Raven-ish.
Right. And Lamar Jackson had a career day.
Yes.
Rushing, got a touchdown, 75-yard rushing touchdown, with a nice bomb to Bateman for 75 yards. And I'm sitting in my looking at my phone in my fantasy league going, nice job, idiot, for putting him not in the fantasy football lineup. But I went with Murray, and I still won. So that's still a win there. But I like to have 62 points. Maybe this time around I keep them in.
I know that's right. Yeah, if you didn't have Lamar in your fantasy league this week, boy, I know you feel sick to the stomach a little bit. But I mean, he had a phenomenal day. I mean, I really hate that no matter what this guy does, no matter what this kid does, people are going to consistently hate on him. Right. It's always Lamar's fault. The defense give up 6 touchdowns, and it's still Lamar's fault. It's unbelievable, man. I don't understand what it is. I really do feel bad for him. At the same time, he's going to break the bank next year, so people they can say whatever they want to say. He's going to make everybody eat those words when they go to a Super Bowl.
Exactly. Let's bring in the voice of Gillette Stadium. He's you probably heard this guy a lot there, Daniel. Probably when you went up to New England and said like, "Oh, I know this voice." And it's so he's the voice of Gillette Stadium. He does a lot of good stuff up there in New England. So we're bringing John Rook with us. Hi, John. How you doing?
Guys, I'm good. And if he's been listening to me in Foxborough, then he hadn't been doing his job, has he?
Thanks, John. I appreciate that, brother.
No sweat.
So, John,
congratulations, by the way, on being the voice of New England, man. That's a heck of a job to have.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting. This is my 31st year, so been around for a little while, through a couple of regimes. I was there when the Patriots stunk. Some people would say that they stink again now, but I guess it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is a home opener this weekend for the Patriots, and I heard stories that you don't beat the Patriots on a home opener. Bill Belichick barely loses a home opener. So why is he so good?
That's just, I don't know. I think it's actually one of those sort of quirky things, to be honest with you. A lot of times when they've had home openers in the past, they're coming off of a successful run from the season before. They've had the national television cameras there and all that kind of stuff. And so I guess there was a lot of emotion involved and a lot of hype involved. But I also tend to think that, one of the things that they've just sort of ingrained, I think, in the personnel there is the fact that they really do a good job of emphasizing, hey, let's not lose home games, because it's our environment, it's our locker room, it's our familiarity, and we should protect it. And hey, Daniel knows this as well as anybody. When it's going to be much easier at home because you're going to supposedly relax, so you don't have the distractions that you might normally have when you're on the road. I've always found that kind of interesting, though, because it seemed to me, if I was a player, I would be much more focused if I had nothing else bothering me when I'm on the road, because I don't have friends, family, people, haunting me for tickets, that kind of thing. Right. So I've always kind of found that odd as to how that really works and why players, like the home field so much.
That's not true, John. I mean, people bother you for those tickets no matter where you go, buddy. Your family will travel to go see an NFL game. What usually happens, I think, for us, well, from my own experience on home games, you don't have to pack a suitcase. You don't have to go to the airport. You don't have to go through TSA, none of that type of stuff, and get searched, have the dog search the bags. Get on the plane, get on the bus, get back on the bus, go to a hotel. Now you still check into a hotel when you're at home because you try to get away from the distraction still. So home game, you still check into the team hotel. You spend the night there, so you're away from your family that night, and you're able to focus a little bit more. But you really just throw an outfit in a book bag and you take it with you, and that's it. So it's the convenience of being in your own locker room, your own locker, the one that you have every single home game. And when you travel, you usually only travel, to that team once a year. So every travel game, you're in a new locker room, and they have to set up stuff temporarily for you. Some people try to make it really uncomfortable for you when you're in their locker rooms. It's not as nice as the one that you have at home. It's a lot of things that come into play.
Sure.
Then you walk into away stadiums, and people talk trash to you, flip you off, throw stuff at the bus, shoot you the moon. It's all kind of crazy stuff goes on at away stadiums. So it's definitely a lot of things that could definitely take your mind off the game and keep you unfocused if you don't pay attention and you're not one of those guys that can be really zoomed in and dialed in.
Let me ask you something about that, though, only because I'm just curious how players and other teams and other organizations feel, because you probably are aware that for years, and Peyton Manning, I think, started this, that players coming into Foxborough felt like the visiting locker room was bugged. Did you think that?
Everything about New England is bugged. I mean, in our mind, it's like New England. We used to always say, and Rex Ryan used to say this all the time: "Hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying."
Well,
and so in New England, it's like everybody swear the Patriots cheating in every possible way possible. So yeah, you feel like the locker room's bugged. You feel like you got to watch what you say. You can't leave anything laying around. Get your playbook. Make sure you put your playbooks in the bin. Everybody have to put their playbook in the bin when we go to certain places, right?
Right.
And it's crazy. I don't know if you bring your playbook with you, you cannot keep it in your bag. You can't keep it anywhere. You have to put it in the bag and they check it off. It's that crazy. But this
why did you have to bring your playbook with you, though? Aren't you supposed to know it?
No, man, you got to study all the way up to the game. Don't act like you don't be studying up into the game, John. I've had a chance to be color commentary, so I got a chance to sit next to the voice before.
Yeah.
And you guys have so much paperwork to study, from the referees, the coaches, the players, each team, all the jersey numbers, the positions, the colleges they went to. You guys are phenomenal, the stuff that you guys put into your head before a game. So, we do go right up to the game, and I've seen you guys highlight every little thing on that little sheet. I know how it goes, John. Don't play me.
Why would I do that? Come on. Why would I do that?
We're the same way.
Well, but yeah, sure. But I know that Manning was infamous for, pulling his coaches out into the hallway because he was afraid everything was bugged. So, and we always used to get a huge kick out of that because, even if he was pulling this conversation out in the hallway, he still never had much success there.
Yeah, I know, right? and it's probably the hallways just as bugged as the locker room.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Adam,
funny though.
Cool.
Yeah, first of all, John, I'm from New England. I 13 years in New Hampshire. I was born outside of Boston, so I remember when the Patriots stung, I remember them days of Steve Grogan up there and Drew Bledsoe. So I remember them days. So really cool to talk with you, Daniel. And you must be on cloud nine after Appalachian State survived against Troy on Saturday. You probably saw the Hail Mary, that won it. But John, I'll ask you. You were there for Tom Brady's, 20 years in Foxborough. You have so many memories of him. Is there one game that stood out to you when Tom was in Foxborough that you'll never forget in your entire broadcasting life?
I would tell you it was the season opener of 2007 when he got cut down by Kansas City and missed the whole year. I mean, it's not very spectacular. It's not a great memory, not for him, but I mean, that was, and the Patriots ended up going 11-5 that year and probably missed the playoffs. They missed the postseason, but Matt Castle came in and played quarterback that entire year. God, I can't believe that was 15 years ago. That's stunning. But to me, that just stands out because it was extraordinary. And I think everybody thought, that the sky was falling. And obviously, the Patriots later learned that that was not the case. It was 2008, because that was the year after they had the great year and got beat by the Giants in the Super Bowl. And a lot of people still feel like that 07 Patriots team may have been the best team to have never won the Super Bowl. And there were some pretty good, Ravens teams too that, didn't manage to go to the very end as well. So I think in that regard, both teams have had really successful seasons that didn't ultimately end up with the top prize. And, I suppose if you're going to measure by true wins and losses, that those seasons would have been considered ultimate failures. But I tend to try to think that because most athletes, at least that I know, and Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong here. Most athletes that I know, while it's great that if you can win, it's great to have the bling at the end and all that kind of stuff, right? Fact of the matter is that, you're competitive. And if you win more than you lose, and if you beat the teams that you play a lot, especially when you're playing divisional rivals, that does at least give you some sense of satisfaction, number one. And number two, while you may not ultimately be remembered for what it was that you did because you didn't win the Super Bowl a particular year, don't you kind of look back on your careers like thinking, well, hey, we won, we had winning records. We made the playoffs 6 out of 8 years or what have you. Doesn't that mean something to players?
I think it definitely does, man. When I look back over my career, and John, it's a quick story. My rookie year in New York with the Jets, I remember when I first made the team, we sat in the team meeting room, and I remember Herman Edwards standing up in front of the team and started asking guys to raise their hands, who went to the playoffs. Have you ever been to a playoff before? And like 10 guys, 15 guys raised their hand out of 60 some guys, like 15 guys raised their hand. And he's like, hey, you ever win a playoff game? And there's like 8 guys raised their hand. So you ever been to a Super Bowl? Like 2 guys raised their hand. You ever win a Super Bowl? Nobody raises their hand. And now you got, this is year, I think 18 or year 20 for Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah.
Vinny, I think, had only been to the playoffs once.
Yeah, that's
twice,
crazy.
In 20 years,
That's
so
crazy.
And he's a first pick overall in the draft. So, I mean, so when you look at those situations, it's so many things I think you take for granted because you're not, head coaches don't do that all the time. Right.
Right.
So you won't even think about it. You just go out here and you play and you play and you play, you make the playoffs, you enjoy it, but you happy more than anything that you get a chance to get a little bit more money.
Right.
Money that was unaccounted for, and you get a chance to go do something with your family later on, or get that car that you've always wanted, or something. You get to treat yourself a little bit. But when you retire and you hang those cleats up, man, when you look back and you look at your career collectively as a whole, a Super Bowl is extremely nice to have because there's so few of us that have it. I have a ring with Tampa Bay, and I was blessed to get that, and I missed the one in Baltimore. And I mean, it's nothing. I don't think I hold any other ring, dearer to my heart than that, besides my wedding band, So it's one of those things to me, man, that when you look back over the years and you had those great matchups against Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and even in, New England, when I remember that year y'all went undefeated, y'all came to Baltimore, we was this close to winning that game. And it came down to one of those Tom Brady last minute drives that actually, they win that and then they go to the Super Bowl and lose. And I felt like we was one of the few teams that actually had a chance to beat y'all that year. Yep. And we sucked that year. It wasn't a great year for the Ravens at all that year. I was hurt that entire year. I came back that was my first game back against the Patriots. I caught the game-winning touchdown, so I thought. And then Brady come down and do what Brady does best, with like a minute left on the clock to win the game for him. And so I mean, it was what I remember most about that game, John, was that we broke like the league record in penalties that game. I remember Bart Scott picking.
Oh, that's right.
Throwing it up in the stands. You remember that? Yeah, Bart Scott, he earned his name that game, the Mad Backer, because he picked up the flag and threw it in the stands. He was so pissed off at the referees.
Nice.
Hey, Bart still has some trouble with diarrhea of the mouth.
Still has some trouble with diarrhea of the mouth. He's smarter than people think he is.
Oh, I know he is.
I'm so impressed.
He's doing what anybody would do. He's doing this to everybody.
Exactly.
That's what he's doing. I think we get that. We understand that. I think Bart's good entertainment, man.
He is.
He's a nice guy too, because I met him when he was with the Jets, and I was in the locker room after the game, and I was like, hey, I'm from Baltimore. He goes, hey, it's nice to meet you. And my girlfriend actually had a chance. I think she had a chance to like babysit his kids once, because she used to run something, down here. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And it's like, it seems like he's a nice guy.
He's a phenomenal guy.
He gets his pay to talk like we do. I don't get paid for it, but everybody else does.
Right.
But,
he's phenomenal. He's a great guy, man. And Bart is so intelligent, man. He's literally off the chart. He's always reading something, always putting more knowledge in his head. And he's such a knucklehead, you wouldn't think he's sharp, but he's sharp as a knife, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, I got a question to ask you. Why is it so difficult for visiting teams to go up to New England to knock off the Patriots? Because it seems like the Ravens have a hard time. Everybody else has a hard time too going up to New England. Is it because of because of Bill Belichick? Is it because of the crowd on top of each other? Because I've been to Gillette Stadium a couple times for a soccer game and a Jet and Patriot game years ago, and I just feel like it's just a normal stadium. But why is it so difficult for visitors?
It's hard because first of all, you had Belichick and you had Brady there for like freaking 20 years. To come in and have to play against those two masterminds is almost impossible to win in that situation. And we always, as players, we take on the personality of the city that we're in. So if that city is got a little grit to it, like Boston, like Baltimore, we're gonna play that way. We're gonna play gritty. We're gonna have a little oomph to us, and we're not gonna allow you to come into our home and our backyard and think you about to throw a party. No, we not having that at all. It's hard. It's going to be hard to win in Baltimore. It's going to be hard to win in New England. And New England is one of those places where the fans are extremely disciplined as well. They know when to cheer. They know when to be quiet. And they're very poised fans, and they get very loud. And it's extremely loud in Gillette. Like I think they do a phenomenal job of everything. And it's so much that goes along with that too, Chris. Like the people that work the scoreboard and actually work the game, they have a huge part of all of that, all the graphics you see on the board. They telling you when to cheer, when to quiet down. They got the little sounds when they get a first down and move.
It's all choreographed.
It's all choreographed.
And they do this all over. They do this all over the country, as you well know. They do it now, but the Patriots were actually one of the first teams to choreograph this stuff. And I know this because I was a part of it. And I had a script this thick, an inch or two thick that I had to follow every game in order to choreograph this and get the fans to sort of, repeat after, what we were doing, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. And that makes the atmosphere like crazy phenomenal. Like, and everybody's kind of catching on nowadays. Everybody is. Like the guy in Baltimore was Larry Rosen, and I love Larry to death. He ran the scoreboard, ran all the graphics, everything, and his team, they put together on the whole show. And it was just such a phenomenal experience being behind the scenes, kind of getting a chance to see that the year I got hurt. For the first time, he let me sit up there in the control room and watch everything, how everything worked. It's such a phenomenal experience to see, man. Chris, if you ever get a chance, Adam, you ever get a chance to do that, especially in a place like Gillette, definitely go, man. See if you can get in that room and hang out with those guys a little bit and kind of see what John and those guys do, man. It's amazing.
It's a show within the show.
It is. You're never. Everything is cued, and they telling you when to, the commercial breaks, everything. It's absolutely phenomenal, man. Like you never know all that going on down on the field when you're playing.
When you weave the television in there, the national television, CBS, NBC, whoever's doing it, and and they're actually calling the shots and telling us when to go and when to do this, so they can maximize it. Like for instance, when you're on Sunday Night Football. And NBC is calling the shots on Sunday Night Football. And so you absolutely go when NBC tells you to go, and you don't miss the cue. And then, of course, if you go too far, and Dan, you'll know this now because I just got through reading, the missive from the NFL in the last week or so. You can't do anything when the play clock reaches 20 seconds before the snap of the football. Can't do anything. If you do anything past 20 seconds, if you do anything past 20 seconds, you get fined $50,000.
Wow. Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but that's a little more than my game fee.
I know that's right. Oh, that's right, John. Hey, man, I'm telling you, Chris. I mean, that makes sense exactly what John's saying because I try to tell him, even on the high school games, like when I go see my son play, the other team band cannot play while my team is on offense.
Right.
I would be complaining to the referees, like, ref, they can't play while we're on offense. They can't make up their own noise. The crowd has to make the noise, not the band.
Right.
So I mean, it's those things like that exactly what John is talking about. You can get fined for it. You have to be smart. You have to play the cards right. The fans make up the noise. The scoreboard can't pump noise through. That's why I think the Falcons got in trouble one year for pumping noise through the speakers.
Yes.
Fan noise.
Yes.
Like, you can't do that.
Hey,
like I said,
been accused of that as well. They've been accusing that in Indianapolis too.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right, John?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's pretty sad that you have to pump in your own fan music. It's like really, it's like the pandemic we had. It's like you had nobody in the stands, and you had to put in the fake cheering and all that stuff. It's like, okay,
that was weird, by the way. That was weird,
weird
announcing to a stadium that was completely empty, with the exception of about maybe a dozen media people. That was truly surreal and bizarre.
Wow.
I hope I never do that again.
No, I hope not. Well, folks, thanks, John. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for coming on. And the Ravens and Patriots Sunday at 1 on Fox. So it might be Kenny Albert might be doing that game, right?
It's gonna be a phenomenal game.
Actually, I think it's Joe Davis doing it.
Oh, Joe Davis is doing it. Okay.
Joe Davis.
Voice of the LA Dodgers.
Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey, John, it's absolutely my pleasure to meet you, man. And congratulations on 31 years. And keep winning, my brother. Keep winning.
Daniel, thank you. Appreciate it. You too, my man. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for both of you guys to come on. Thank you so much.
You guys.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Adam. All right, Chris.
All right, see you next week.
Good night, guys.
See you next week, buddy. Bye.
All right.
Bye. All right, that's
that was cool, Chris. Yeah, I mean,
that was very good, dude. I gotta say, that was one of those. That's another great interviews we have on the show. I just love people talk.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't want to say and chime in or whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, John Rook has had so much success at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, so he knows the history of the Patriots like the back of his hand. I mean, he was there when, like you said, the Patriots were, losing. And it's like us New Englanders, we never forget that. I mean,
hey, I remember getting an opportunity to go to Foxborough. This is my previous life before I met Nicole. And I had a chance, and Brady was actually, if you see my TV, he was actually like maybe a couple yards in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat there and I stared him down.
Wow.
Because I'm sorry. Yes, you're Tom Brady. You're still a baby. Okay, no offense. And you're not the great one, because if you're the great one, you should not be losing Super Bowls.
Thank you, Chris. I'll agree with that. I agree with that.
So let's bring in Steve real quick here. Steve's with our update. We're waiting for the our good friends from Maryland to come on here and to talk Maryland and Michigan. So, hey, Steve, we just got done with Dan Wilcox and John Roque, who is the voice of Gillette Stadium, so up there in New England. It was a great conversation.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's the update up there in Aberdeen?
The Ironbirds have blown this game wide open with the Hot Rods batting in the top of the sixth inning. It is 9-2 Ironbirds right now in the top of the sixth inning.
Jeez. How's the crowds up there on a it's actually a school night. A lot of people have school the next day, but how's the crowd up there? It seems pretty quiet.
Yeah, it's a fairly light crowd. I mean, there's not a whole lot of vehicular traffic out here in the parking lot like it would be if it was, say, a July game where it would be packed up here. But there's a pretty decent crowd here tonight.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool. And so let me text what's the name here. Hold on a second here. If you want, got somebody. One of the guys supposed to log in here.
Yeah, the Ironbirds hit a 3-run blast and then a 2-run blast in the bottom of the fifth inning.
Okay. You can hold on. You can log in. Yeah,
that's where it gets the current score right now, 9-2.
Okay, so 9-2. The Ironbirds they scored a single run in the first inning, then 3 runs in the bottom of the second to take a 4-2 lead, and then they blew it open in the bottom of the fifth with a 5-run on a 5 spot. So that's a pretty good. So if they win tonight, folks, if you're in Aberdeen tomorrow, I think you may want to go get a ticket, and head on over and pack that stadium tomorrow, because who gets an opportunity to see a title in your backyard? Because you and I, Steve, grew up watching this team. So let me send him the text message here. So one of the guys I'm trying to get from Maryland, I sent him an email and he forgot to come on. So hold on a second. So anyway, we'll get you on before the end of the show there, Steve. So let me get him on. So thanks for with the update.
All righty, we'll do.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, let me get his. Hold on a second.
Chris, I think if the Aberdeen Iverns win this South Atlantic League title, I think that's going to be a huge party in Aberdeen. What do you think?
I think so, and I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, they'll be eating enough
Yeah,
blue
but back to
crabs
our,
and all the type of seafood, till the cows come home.
yeah. Well, back to our conversation we just had with John and all that. That was just and Daniel. It's great to have these players get a chance to talk to these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they don't get a chance to speak to them.
Oh yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty cool. I get a chance to, and Daniel has been such a nice guy coming on our program.
Yes.
And I appreciate everything he.
He's been really cool to talk to. Nice guy. No complaints.
Nice guy. Very nice.
Really
guy.
cool guy.
Yeah, he's a. Yeah, hold on here. Let me check this. Hold on. I'm trying to get Amar, who covers the Maryland Terrapins, to come on. So he. He. I guess he didn't get the email because I texted him like, "Did you get my email with the link?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." So I'm waiting for him to log in.
Cool.
So anyway, the Patriots are a 3-point underdog against the Ravens this week. So that's going to be very interesting. Let's go back to our picks to click here. I know I'm going out to Michigan on Saturday.
Yes, you are.
Maryland game.
Safe travels, Chris.
I may want to go with. I may want to go with. I want to say Notre Dame.
Okay, since George isn't on the show tonight.
I want to go with Notre Dame because Notre Dame, they let's play a clip real quick. I was going to start off the show with the clip of the film winning. So here's the quick highlight of the last second in South Bend.
5-yard line or further back for the Irish. Here comes Foskey, forces a pressure. Plummer gets away from it, now lofts this toward the end zone, and that pass is still in the air, and finally will become incomplete.
You gotta be kidding me.
Both Hunter and Anderson in the area with an opportunity.
It bounced again. Oh my God.
Oh man. That's just crazy there. Crazy finish to that game. But congratulations to Coach Freeman on his first win as a Notre Dame head coach. Yeah. So we're bringing Ahmed in here, who covers Maryland. He's going to be out there in Michigan this coming weekend. So, hey, Ahmed, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on tonight. You were there today at the press conference. How was the mood like around the press conference?
I personally wasn't there. I had a colleague of mine. He was attending, but it seemed like a lot of the consensus from what Loxley was just saying, the emphasis on penalties and being able to take that next step and beat one of these elite teams in the Big Ten. So much of the conversation, more so surrounding, execution and whatnot. No injury updates, anything like that just yet. So we shall see what fares this coming weekend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big win if they pull off. They beat Michigan before in the Big House back in. We put it up a couple like an hour ago, but they did beat it before in Michigan. So if they do beat Michigan this weekend, that's a big win for Loxley and the way he's turning this program around.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a huge win. I mean, going to the number 4 ranked team in the country, defending Big Ten champions, to be able to pull that off. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Maryland beat Michigan at Michigan once before, and it's wild to think that Randy Edsall, of all people, was the lone Maryland coach to win at Michigan and win at Penn State in the same season, and it hasn't happened yet. So Maryland will obviously get its first crack at it this weekend. Obviously, when you talk about Maryland football taking that next step both in fan engagement and off the field, it comes with beating these top teams. So, like I said, this is first for them.
That's true. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah. Maryland has a really good quarterback. We know Talua Tagovailoa
It's really hard. Yeah.
Um,
I can't say it. You know, I mess up all the time.
Talk about his success at Maryland. Since he's been there, looks like a really good guy to have at quarterback for the Terrapins.
Yeah. I'd kind of start this with, kind of off the field. I've even told, colleagues, you can kind of tell, when he got here in 2020 and everything obviously was COVID and not in person and whatnot, but then 2021, you could see him start to come out of the shell more. And, this year you can see a more vocal Leah now. Loxley had mentioned that before. That was kind of one of those first initial steps that he wanted Talia to take as a quarterback. But then on the field, I think that 2020 obviously was just tough, just coming in and having COVID, starting and stopping practice, but just getting into the rhythm, getting into the offense, being a first-time quarterback at the Power 5 level full-time. And then 2021, we start flashes of it. And I think this year, from a fan perspective, they'll always say, we want to see Leah take that next step or maintain his efficiency against the Group of 5, the smaller teams, when Maryland does play, the Michigans, the Big Ten, the Penn States, the Ohio States. But I think we've kind of seen flashes. I think the passing game hasn't really reached its potential. There's something that looks to be off with it. But for Talia himself, I mean, statistically, I know he has 2 interceptions. One of them, I think I put a little bit of the blame on Dante Demas there. But so we'll see. I mean, I think he has looked good. It's all about, him taking that next step in the big games, though, from a technique perspective, whatnot. He's continued to develop.
Yeah, Maryland has a great running back from a kid from my neck of the woods and up here. I'm in Baltimore County, but I'm originally from Bel Air. From John Carroll. He's one of those quiet running backs. I heard about him when he was at John Carroll. He was doing well, but John Carroll doesn't play a lot of good, player teams in that Patriot League. But he's like right now coming out of the first 2 games or 3 games scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's that top end speed. I think that's kind of what it is. They like that at a high school. We got a chance to see a little bit of it last year, but I think spring game of this year when fans really got to see, kind of more of what Hemby's capable of. And then obviously he's hit the ground running so far this year and been able to give this offense more of a balanced attack.
So are you going to make a trip out there to Michigan? Have you been there before?
I have not.
I haven't been. Okay. So this is my first time. I was wondering, I'm trying to get some inside tips because I'm going out there with you guys and trying to see. Somebody told me the food's good out there. I'm like, okay. Like where? And you're like, I'm a big foodie.
Only place I can tell you I've seen on TV. So I don't have any good tips on that one. Sorry about that.
Yeah. But what's your feeling like going out there to the Big House? This is a place that you saw on TV a lot when you were a kid growing up watching college football. This is where all the miracle games came on. I think Colorado beat Michigan by a Hail Mary. Back in the early 90s, and all that stuff. It must be pretty cool that you get a chance to go and see this place for real. And you want to pinch yourself going, I'm really here? Really?
Yeah. It'd definitely be kind of a cool atmosphere. Obviously historic, one of those historic venues in college football. So it's definitely cool. But yeah, in terms of, the game itself, I think Maryland, it's kind of, and I don't want to use Loxley's quotes like this, but it kind of is Maryland versus Maryland in this regard after posting 15 penalties for 141 yards with highs in the Loxley era. You can't have those self-inflicted errors that really plagued them last year in the crucial games, and it really hurt them last week. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing. Obviously, Michigan having that change of quarterback, but they have Blake Corum, who's just coming off a 5-touchdown performance. So there's a lot that Maryland has to do, but definitely just maximizing their own efficiency, I think, is kind of the big thing I'm looking for.
It's true. Well, I hope you have a safe travels out there. I hope to see you Saturday. Hopefully I get there in time with the plane ticket. You flying out Friday night, or are you doing Saturday morning?
Would be Friday night, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing Saturday morning because it's easier and it's cheaper too.
That's definitely true. Definitely true. Yeah. But yeah, appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, buddy, and I'll see you out there.
All right,
safe travels to Michigan.
See you. Bye. All right, that's Ahmad Giffard, who covers the Terrapins for the Inside Black and Gold, a publication there at the down there in College Park. Yeah, so that's going to be a very interesting game this weekend. I found out today that Richmond, we had Coach Russman on during the summer. They just got their schedule for 2025. They're going to be playing a lot of 5 ACC teams starting in 2025. And let's bring it up here. They're going to play North Carolina in 2025. They're going to play NC State in 2026, Louisville in 27, Cavaliers in 28, and then they finish up their whole thing with the folks at Pitt Panthers up there in Pittsburgh in 2029. Hopefully, we're still around in 2029, people.
Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's. I mean, Rich, it's nice to see Richmond playing all these ACC schools. Give them some attention. Obviously, Chris, you know what? Those games are going to be televised somewhere, so Richmond will get exposure. It'll help the school. It'll help recruiting. For the Spiders. So nice to see Richmond playing some ACC schools on their non-conference schedule in the next couple years.
Well, here's a report I heard today. I'm on the FBS schedule report. Bedlam, the series between Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was reading about that. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. When Oklahoma goes to SEC, that game is no more. And Chris, that is sad. That is sad because that's another rivalry game that won't be played. And it's like, I mean, Chris, that rivalry has been going on, it seems like forever. And now that game won't be played. It's like, that is so sad. It's called,
right. And to me, Florida State and Florida, they both play in 2 separate conferences, okay? But they still find a way to play each other.
Yes.
Okay? Miami is in the ACC with Florida State, but before that, Miami was an independent or Big East. They still found a way to play each other.
Yes.
Why is it such a problem for those 2 schools to say, hey, let's play each other, even if you're in the SEC and we're still in the Big 12? What's the big deal, people?
Thank you.
Same thing in Texas A&M and Texas. Stop being a bunch of babies and go and just play each other. These are stuff that these kids grew up watching.
These are rivalries. It's called, Chris, it's called, these are rivalries, that people talk about forever. I mean, you mentioned Texas A&M, Texas. I mean, you think of, Oklahoma State.
It's ridiculous.
That game has been Oklahoma, Nebraska. It's called, when they were members of, the Big 12 and the Big 8, you think about
like this rivalry, dude. The Oklahoma and the Bedlam series started playing in 1904.
Yeah,
okay? And they played ever since.
That series. It's like, when you think about Oklahoma State, immediately you think of the Bedlam series, and it's like, you're not going to playing it? That's stupid. That's like beyond stupid. And I think Chris froze. Chris, you're froze. Okay. Yeah, Chris froze, so right now it's just me. So yeah, like Chris is saying, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the little bell icon.
Yeah, there I am. Sorry about that. I had a hiccup.
Chris is back, so it's called. It's
what
called.
I was saying is the series.
Isn't technology wonderful, right, Chris?
Yeah, the series has been contested since 1904.
Yes.
Every year since 1910.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell this, and you're going to tell both schools, like one of them goes also a new conference, so you can't play each other.
You could play them. You could play it at the end of the season,
or you could play in the first game of the year. Or you could play in the first game of the year. Big fucking.
Why not? Look at. Chris. Look at Florida State.
Yeah.
They always play at the end of the year. It's like, Why can't Oklahoma and Oklahoma State do that? Why can't Texas and Texas A&M play on Thanksgiving like we all remember? I mean, these rivalry games, they mean something, to the fans, to the schools. I mean, it's like, come Bedlam, like you're either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. I mean, there's probably families divided, friends divided. I mean, it's like,
well, the SEC schedule, like you just said,
stupid.
Dude, the SEC schedule just came out, and for next year, and week 0, Vanderbilt is scheduled to host Hawaii after they beat the pants off of them this year. August 26, 2023 is the game. Let's see here. Let's look at the other schedules here. September 2nd, Florida's at Utah. Tennessee's at Virginia. Virginia's playing Tennessee in Nashville. South Carolina and North Carolina are playing each other in Charlotte again, like they did a couple of years ago.
LSU and Florida State are playing in Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando, Florida. Texas A&M goes down to Miami the following week to play the Hurricanes. Vanderbilt goes to Wake Forest. It's basically the switch from this year.
Texas goes to Alabama.
Right.
You have Arizona coming to Mississippi State. You have Auburn going out west, to play Cal at Memorial Stadium in Berkeley. I mean, in week 3, Chris, next year, Alabama goes and plays South Florida in South Florida.
And Texas and Alabama play each other again.
I mean, you don't see that, it's like crazy. I mean, that's good for the Bulls down there in Miami.
Right, exactly. Update, still bottom of 6 at Aberdeen. Is still 9-3 in favor of the Ironbirds. I had a fly on my face. Sorry about that, folks. I didn't slap the hell out of myself for that one. Yeah. But I think it's back to the Oklahoma situation. Just play the damn series. Stop whining.
Thank you. I mean,
stop being a bunch of babies and just play.
Thank you, Chris. Amen to that. Yes.
Stop being a bunch of babies.
Thank you.
You left my conference, and I don't want to play with you anymore.
Well, that's stupid. I mean,
it's like, come on, give me a break.
I mean, look at Notre Dame, Michigan. Notre Dame's independent. Michigan's in the Big Ten. They've always played each other.
Right.
I mean,
I know. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. And it's also dumb to have the SEC doing their 2023 schedule on September 20th.
I mean, it's like we're not even half. I mean, it's like
the first quarter of the season's over with. Let's talk about 2023. How about we just cancel the rest of the SEC schedule, everybody? Jeez, God.
Thank you.
I know, it's annoying. Other games this coming weekend you can watch. Besides, I picked on my Notre Dame, North Carolina pick. I'm going to pick. I think Notre Dame is due for another win.
Yeah. But North Carolina's tough, Chris.
Yes, they are. Let's look at the other teams. We got a basketball game going on. Football game. Duke and Kansas playing each other. Yeah, you got.
And they're good.
You got Leitner against Danny Manning. That's a rivalry game, but it's in football.
Coach K against Roy Williams.
Yes, and I got to bring up the Twitter question. Next Twitter thing. Dick Vitale wrote something that's pretty funny today.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, did you see it on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Hopefully he put it on his page. I'm glad his chemo is doing well. Where is it? Yeah. You gotta be. Oh, here it is. Wow. He wrote, this is Dick Vitale, folks. 6 hours ago. He's like, wow, it's still Duke and Kansas. They were playing each other in the. I guess they're playing in the championship. The championship, whatever. On November 15th. But they're gonna. Yeah, we're going to play. No, they're going to wait now. They're going to play this weekend in football.
Yeah.
That's just pretty crazy stuff there. Yeah, it's like, okay. Yeah, but so next week, folks, here on the program, we will have. We're going to be working on trying to get the voice of JMU football. Going to be joining us. Let me get his name.
Nice, Chris.
Yeah, he's a good friend of the station here. So it's Dave. Hold on, let me give you guys his name here, Dave. Hopefully you can pull him up here. I don't have it here, but yeah, he's the voice of JMU football. Pete took over last year, so he's a good friend of ours. So we're going to have him. We might get the main head coach joining us. Coach Stevens is going to be joining us next week. We're trying to get some coaches. Oh, we can't forget this weekend's game, Clemson and Wake Forest. We can't forget that.
In Winston-Salem. Oh,
Nelly. Like Keith Jackson used to say.
Yeah. Oh, Nelly.
But here's my question: why is this game 12 noon?
Thank you. It should be prime time.
Or 3:30 in the afternoon or something.
I know.
Yeah, 12 noon. Why 12 noon? There's no storm anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, like come on now, people, get in the ball game. Let's take a look at next week schedule here, because we got next week's week 5 of college football around here.
That's crazy, Chris.
Crazy stuff. Next week we got Kansas and Ole Miss playing each other next week. Eastern Washington playing Florida. Florida doesn't have to go out to the red field. I would love to see the Gators on the red field. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
What else? You got Alabama and Arkansas. Arkansas, did they lose to fighting Bobby Petrino's?
I don't think so. I think they actually won against Missouri State.
Bobby Petrino was actually tied his team at Missouri State. Tied them in the third quarter. So,
you think about all the success that Bobby Petrino had at Louisville.
Mm-hmm. And Arkansas too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What else is here? We got Georgia taking on Missouri next week. That's the 7th. That's a blowout. Northwestern taking on Penn State next Saturday at 3:30 up in State College. Rutgers and Ohio State, who I possibility might be able to get to that game.
You may go to the nice.
Yeah, might. It all depends on the funds, if I have the funds to do it.
Gotcha.
Hey, that's you do this you do the stuff by yourself.
Oh yeah.
8:51. Let me call Steve here. I was waiting for speaking of Steve. He's ringing.
Yeah. It's called yeah.
Well, Steve, I was ready to pick up the phone and call you. Thanks for calling. So, what's the update?
Ironbirds are continuing to put on the heat, as it has now been blown open to a 12-3 lead now for the Aberdeen Ironbirds.
Wow.
Batting in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Bottom of the 6th inning. So the Ironbirds have 12 runs on 12 hits and 2 errors. So if you're a lotto guy, you should bait 12, 12, and 2, on your slot machine.
Yeah.
So this is game 2 of the league championship on the South Atlantic League. If you folks who want to tune in tomorrow, if the Ironbirds win tonight, they will host game 3 tomorrow, and that's winner take all. And that's for the title. So
how special would that be for the first time in the team's 20-year history to finally bring a title to Aberdeen?
Exactly, that would be cool. So 12-3, top of the with the bottom of the 6th. Yeah, bottom of the 6th.
Just ended the 6th, going to top of the 7th right now.
Top of the 7th. So we'll keep an eye on this game, folks, for before we end tonight. If not, we'll have an update with it tomorrow. So let's bring in Isaiah Hole, who covers the Wolverines. We'll talk Michigan and finish up the show. But Steve, thanks for joining us.
problem. Glad I could help.
All right, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Bye.
See.
All right. So let's bring in Isaiah here. Yeah. Hey, Isaiah, how you doing?
Good. My apologies for being a little bit late here. Kind of coming off of a press conference, lost a little bit of track of time there for a second, even though I had alerts going, and suddenly I looked at the clock.
Yeah.
The alerts didn't go off.
And I like getting up in the morning. I miss all the alarms sometimes. For work.
Sometimes technology. I probably have it set for 8:45 tomorrow morning. Is probably what I ended up doing. But
it's okay. Well, thanks for coming on. Let's talk about the press conference. What did Coach Jim talk about? I know he knows a lot about Maryland because his brother John is the Ravens head coach. He probably gets some insight tidbits a little bit here and there. But what did he say about taking on the State School of Maryland?
Well, we actually spoke to Jim yesterday, and I mean, he's on high alert. He said that about Maryland every year, going back to 2015, in his weekly press conference, that he's just on high alert. And when we talked to him and the players, they all kind of had the same story. These are, this is obviously a giant step up in competition for Michigan, given the three teams that Michigan's played so far. And Maryland obviously has a lot of high-end athletes, and this is going to be a challenge for Michigan, particularly in the pass defense, which is currently ranked to number 3 in the country. But it's a different story now, right? Because there's a difference between holding UConn with a true freshman and a couple okay receivers to trying to take care of Raheem Jarrett and Dante Demas and the multitudes of guys that there are there in College Park. So they've all just kind of said that they're on high alert. They're treating it the same way that they would treat Michigan State or Ohio State at this point, because they know they're going to get Maryland's best shot, and they know that it's going to be a little bit different for this team in multiple ways. They talked a lot about the conditioning because Michigan hasn't played a full game yet, as far as like the starters. You've seen these guys come out for half a game, and then you start seeing literally people that I've never even heard of. And I type out the roster every year, and start hearing names that I'm like, I don't know who that is. So
right here, you're like, 00. Who's 00? Where did he come from?
I didn't know you could have an epsilon symbol as a player.
It's like baseball. It's like baseball in spring training. I don't want to cut you off. It's like spring training baseball. When you have number 99, besides not Aaron Judd, but if you have number 99 for that organization, I'm pretty sure you're going back to Norfolk.
Right.
Sure, yeah. But
so they're on high alert, and there's a lot of things that they have to figure out, right? I mean, it's a team that has to play a full game for the first time, and it's a team that's now got to play a much higher competition than what we've seen in the first 3 weeks, and they're very well aware of that. They know that this is not going to be an easy game for them. So as far as the way that they've talked about it, and they particularly asking Mike Sainristil, former wide receiver who's now a cornerback, how do you prepare for a game like this? And he says, well, it's just a matter of being as intense as you can possibly be at all times. So that's how they're really attacking this week.
Yeah. And it seems like, like I was just looking at the scores, 51-7 against Colorado State. I turned that game off in the third quarter. It was like, well, I'm watching this, this debacle. It's already, at the time was like 38-0.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Hawaii you guys had a rain delay, right? It was pushed back to 9 o'clock. It was supposed to be an 8 o'clock kickoff, right?
Right. Latest game in the history of Michigan Stadium, both in start time and end time.
Yeah. So it got over probably like after midnight or 1 in the morning. And then you turn around and play a UConn team that basically they don't even know what they're doing. They're waiting for basketball to start up.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And you guys, I was watching it last week. It was like 36-0 in the third quarter. I'm like, let's go let me go get some lunch. And turn it off. It was not exciting.
No, and that's the thing is, I wonder how much of that is a product of the schedule, or how much of a product of that is the team being good. 2016, the team was good, and that's what they did to everybody.
Right.
But that they did it that year to Hawaii, then they did it to I can't remember UCF, and then they were behind to Colorado for a minute, and then took that game back pretty easily, and they eventually did it to Penn State and everybody. The one thing I can say about Michigan is that right now, for the schedule, you look at the schedule, you say it's a weak schedule, which it is. They've done what they're supposed to do with that weak schedule. So this is the first time since 1947 that Michigan scored 50 points more in the first 3 games. Again, they haven't played a schedule quite this week, but I mean, you can't really fault them for doing what they should do against these teams, right? We see teams not do that, whether it's, even if it's a win, you look at like Nebraska, it's all these teams that are coming, having close calls with FCS teams. That's not, that's a different story. And Michigan's gone out and done what it's supposed to. I hearkened back on the podcast earlier this evening that we've seen Michigan not do that at times. In 2013, they went and played. They were at home. They played. You're not going to believe this, an overrated Notre Dame team, and they got all kinds of hype coming out of that game. And then they played Akron, which was a bad Akron team, and it took a goal line stand at the end of regulation to win that game. They had to come back the next week against UConn.
Jeez.
So you see that teams can play bad competition and still struggle. And Michigan hasn't done that. They've, in fact, still finished allowing only 27 passing yards with their 4th stringers last week.
Right. Hey, Adam, you got a question for
Isaiah, Michigan has 2 solid, good quarterbacks, Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy. Did Coach Harbaugh announce who will be starting on Saturday against Maryland? I mean, I don't know who to go with. I mean, those 2 are like 2 of the top quarterbacks right now to me in the entire country.
Well, this isn't because of what I'm about to say. That it is J.J. McCarthy. He did earn the starting spot coming out of week 2. However, Cade McNamara is also out with injury for several weeks. He came in this last week, and he ended up with a lower limb injury, and he's going to be out for a few weeks. But that said, J.J. McCarthy is the one who ended up winning the quarterback battle coming out of the Hawaii game. McNamara kind of struggled early this season, and Colorado State did not. He was 9 for 18 in a game in which it was really game planned for him to come out and just really kind of air it out, and he didn't do that. He didn't really throw any. Even his long touchdown pass was just a screen. And JJ got the start in week 2. That was planned to have one start one week and the other start the next week. And it didn't. It was expected that Cade would come in and play, and they had figured things out so that Cade could come in and really sling things around. He didn't. He got sacked. He got had an interception. Got booed by the home crowd, which was really kind of disgusting, disappointing, all of the adjectives you want to use there. But he did come in again this last week and got a standing ovation from the crowd. Obviously based on what happened the week before, but then got injured pretty quickly and is out for a few weeks. So you're going to be seeing McCarthy all game.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Isaiah, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm pretty sure. Thanks for joining us. I hope to see you Saturday because I'm going to get the red eye to get out there in Ann Arbor to see this game, and hopefully it'll be a cool my first trip out there, and hopefully be a great game for me to watch, not like a blowout or anything.
Well, enjoy. It's if you've never been to the big house, it's definitely a different experience being in the biggest stadium in all of college football.
I see it a lot when I was a kid going, wow, this place is huge.
And weirdly, it doesn't feel like it compared to some other places. Like if you go to, I think when you go to you go to Penn State or Ohio State, they feel bigger, even though they're both smaller.
Right, exactly. Well, I hope to see you Saturday. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right, buddy. See you.
He's out there.
All right. Isaiah Hole, who is the publisher of Wolverines Wire for USA Today. Well, we're going to wrap up the show here. We're going to say thank you for joining us tonight. Thanks for all the folks for joining us. Thanks for Rob Stone for making an opportunity to join us. It was very nice to have him on. Also, our friend Daniel Wilcox and John Roque, who the voice of the Gillette Stadium, joining us, plus the folks who covered Chattanooga football, Coach Wright joining us. So next week we'll be back here on the program next Tuesday night. Hopefully George is back from his power outage because they're having major storms out there in Indiana that's coming this way, Adam. So you got to be
let's go batten down the hatches, Chris.
Exactly, sir. Batten down the hatches at 7. We'll recap what's going on this past weekend. God bless you. We'll also talk about the upcoming games coming up on week 5 of college football, and that's where we are. So a little recap real quick. Bottom of the 7th, and Aberdeen is still 12-3 in favor of the Ironbirds. So now to then, I'm Chris Heidel. We will leave you. I think we have something that we can play. I guess you want to hear the. I want to say thank you for this radio call from what's his name? The guy from CBS, Harlan, Kevin Harlan.
Kevin Harlan.
Yeah, Kevin Harlan. I think he's a very good broadcaster, and I think but it's not a great call for all the Ravens fans. But we'll just play it before we leave here. So have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday night.
See y'all later.
Tagovailoa. Blocked by Armstead. 2 into the end zone. Caught for the touchdown! Caught for the touchdown! Waddle! Miami has taken the lead.